on this episode of Postcards.
When I address the horses, you can feel they're proud, that something comes over them because even the way they stand is an eye-opener to people that really pay attention to what's going on.
You can't conserve folk music. It wouldn't be folk music if it's conserved. You can't put it in a museum and just say that it's going to be played like this for the next 1,000 years. You wouldn't have any people doing it.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage-funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org. Playing today's new music plus your favorite hits, 96.7 Cram. Online at 967cram.com.
You make a connection with the things around you. When you're going out walking, you make a connection with nature. You realize how small you are among all the trees. Or you make a connection to your friends. The connection is so good that your friend almost knows what you're thinking and know what you're gonna say before you even say it. But that's the connection that we have with not only the horses, but the animals around us. The deer, the owls, the buffalo. We have that connection with these horses. But you don't make that connection by being around him. He makes the connection with you, and that's when you realize, this horse is my friend. That all started going away when the Europeans, they started slowly dividing that connection that we had with nature. And all the animals they considered wild are part of that. So we can't go against anything of nature. When you go against that, then you will go against essentially your people.
I come from a small community in Oglala, South Dakota, which is on the western end of the Pine Ridge Reservation. Within the school system, there were a lot of stories told about the horses. Particularly one that I always heard was Battle of Little Bighorn, Hajishla. Without the horse, they wouldn't have won that battle. They were part of it. They went hand in hand. The stories that were told of, great leaders like Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, Gull, Red Cloud. All those are part of growing up. For me, that's what instilled, I guess, my pride into who I am today, by hearing those stories. Big part of that was the horse. The horse was held in high esteem, high regards. So songs were created, the horse regalia was created. All of that comes part of growing up there in Ogallala. Like when I was in grade school, I did a lot of drawings with the horse. I always looked through books, just to see the horse. That's where it kind of started with the horse. There was just something about the horse that drew me to that. So I started drawing, painting as I started getting older. So, as in high school, probably around 18, with my grandma, that's where I kind of got the inspiration to do the beadwork and quill work. My grandma, she was born, I believe it was 1912. And there were still ties from the 1800s into the early 1900s. So she knew a lot of stories that come from there, even as far as creating beadwork. And one of the techniques that I learned from my grandma was prior to needles and thread, they use the plum needle from the plum tree. So you string up your beads, put it in there, and you pull it, and it's basically the old technique of beading. Her vision wasn't as well as it used to be, so she would explain to me how to bead something or to do the quill work or how to tan a hide. And that was just all verbal. So I learned by doing it by myself, getting on it, getting some beads, doing that, doing the technique with the quill wrap or applique work with the quills and also with the tanning of the hide. How they beat it saddle pad with stirrups.
Should, then you should go look in like one, I bought at Moody's, got some stirrups and everything.
I've seen those online, you can get them online. I think it was about 2005, my nephew passed away, so we were doing a honoring and a remembrance for him for like 4 years after his, passing. I created a few things for each year to be given away. And on that 4th year, we gave away the horse regalia. The floats started going and they started singing a song. And that song was my nephew's grass dance song. And in that song is his name, Tachunku Waka. And the horse would neigh at the same time. And it'll be right here. And at that moment right there, the horse, they say Akisha, Akishasha. And throughout this video here, his name is said 4 times, and each time the horse would neigh like that. So that's Woableza, which is a clear understanding of you might have seen something, you might have heard something, something might have happened, but that's what I seen was a Woableza that I was given to see that. So in the connection with the horse and honoring any of our relatives, that's where I step back to keep our tradition alive. I step back into that realm to bring that horse regalia back.
Horse regalia is dressing the horses in their very own regalia. You'll see they have their very own mask. They have a horse blanket, mane covers, They'll have a tail cover, a breast collar, so it's their very own attire. Horses, they'll wear it really, really proud, and we believe they know exactly what's happening to them. You'll see them sometimes a shift in their mood. Sometimes they may be high-strung, and then once you start dressing them, they know what's happening.
When I dress the horses, you can feel they're proud, you know, that something comes over them, because even the way they stand is an eye-opener to people that really pay attention to what's going on. A lot of the people there haven't seen a horse dressed in 100 years. So when we dressed this horse in that manner, I think it brought out a pride in the people to see that, because our ancestors did it at one time.
There's no other word besides amazing is what it does. When we dress a horse, the horse knows, and he can sense what he's used for and what his purpose is. It's a totally different experience. The horse is in like another state of mind, like he's meditating.
There are many reasons why it can be created. One, for instance, is, you know, to honor the horse for what the horse brought to our people and what the horse does for our people. Traveling, hunting, in warfare, and even in races, you know, we have traditional horse races. They were also created for giveaways. Part of the culture, generosity was one of the main virtues. And by creating something like that to give away was priceless. And it was given out of love, that creation, that time put into that. It could be for a naming ceremony. It could be for a relative that has passed on. We give that away in honor of them. It could be for parades, you know, to dress your horse and show the people what you think of your horse. It could be for horse rides. Today there's a lot of horse rides. Incorporating that regalia with the horse rides, it's showing the love for the horses and what the Shinkowakanayate does for the people.
Lord, let me remember. Lord, let me remember the winter winds that blew before the crops grew, for the fields now turned, for the fog now lifting, for the day now breaking. These too thank you for harvest. The pheasant hen once shuffled over the field with her chicks gathered under her wings. May I too sleep in the shadow of the Lord. May the spilled grain from an abundant harvest sustain me, a foraging fowl. Protect me from the wild fox, but let the fox be nourished. Let the coyotes run wild over the ridges.
You sit down on here, okay. And here's a Sears Roebuck catalog here. We got to read it. This is a toilet paper here like that. You sit and read this here. Outhouses were the most common thing when you had to go to the bathroom like this. So I decided that I would create an outhouse. And this is no offense to people of different heritage than what we are. We Norwegians always have fun with the Swedes, and no offense, ain't like that. So what I did, I built this outhouse here, and it says, Swedish compact space saver outdoor toilet. Swedes on the bottom, Norwegians on the top. The Norwegians sit on the top here, and the Swedes on the bottom. And I had a sign on the inside there that said, Swedes, do not look up. So we've had a lot of fun with this here. So I had a man by the name of Brolson. He was ambassador of Norway. He came here about 4 years ago, and I said, Mr. Brolson, would you please sit down on this outdoor toilet? So he very obligingly did this here. I said, now lift your left leg. If you would do that for me, please. So he did that. He did this like this way. So I said, he said, I never knew I sounded that good. I said, you haven't heard anything yet. He said, you lift your right leg. And he did this for me, just like this here. And we jokingly do this here. And you see this nice young gentleman here. He is 100% Norwegian. And so anyway, we are just having a lot of fun with this here. I used this here for Sutton my celebration, and I had so many people there. And then one day, I went through 2 whole sets of batteries, and we had so much fun with this here. And then also, you'll see up here, on the very top here, right here, there's 2 cups. And those cups used to be up on top here. And my daughter was dusting one day, and she knocked one down and broke it. She started crying. So I thought, don't cry, that just give me an idea. So I took these old cups here. One said Ufta, both of them say Ufta, and so I put the broken one, put the broken pieces on there, and the original one there, and the sign underneath it said, they told me not to fart so loud. So we've had a lot of fun with this year.
This music traditionally was used for dances and weddings and ceremonies, for funerals, for all the important parts of life. With some of the rituals, it demands certain kinds of music. But the music itself, what it demands, it's different for each player, I'm sure. It's very individual. And we search different things, we need different things as humans. The music is very rich, it can give you anything you need, I think. And because it's not a music written down, it's passed on orally. It's changing, it's moving. And you as a person change and move, of course. So the music, it never stops being interesting.
What it makes it different from the normal fiddle music, you could say, on the violin that we have in the rest of the country, and also like the bluegrass tunes. It's usually made up by 2 or 3 parts, you could say, like A part, B part, C part, and then you repeat it. But in the Hardanger fiddle music, the music is much more free. But it's also, with the Hardanger fiddle sound, it's like relaxing in a way. It's always the drones and a lot of reverb in the sympathetic strings.
I had seen it on TV, but I thought they were playing it like they put their fingers up through the pegs and turning those to make all the melody. So I thought that this I need to learn and need to try this. It's like a lot of strings that are singing at the same time, but with a melody, you know, twirled inside there. Ja, hva gjør det? Alltid det greier på det. Ja, It's a foundation of sound that you can lay the melody on top of. So it's not only the melody that comes out of the violin, but also the sympathetic strings that accompanies the tune and brings life to the chords around.
Hardanger fiddle music is demanding. It's a rich instrument. It has 4 playing strings and 5 resonating strings, and it's can be challenging to hear what is the melody, what is the drone string. The music is based on the melody. The melody is guiding the listener more than the number of beats. You don't count beats. Also, it has this unique technique of scodatura. It's the Italian word actually for mistuning, but it's very strange that they call it that because it's not mistuning at all. It's just that you change the way of tuning the fiddle. In the Hardanger repertoire, there are at least 26 different ways of tuning the instrument, so you get different colors and different sounds of the instrument.
All the music that we play traditionally is dance music, so the music has been evolving together with the dance. The Hardanger fiddle is a solo instrument mainly, so it's been up to the fiddler to connect with the dancers, and you can repeat motives, find variations, and you can play it differently every time.
The Halling dance, it's maybe 2,000 years old. We find it on cave paintings, and the Hardanger fiddle come during the 1600s. I think that made kind of a revolution for the Halling dance because it became so much inspiration and musicality, which inspired new movements. Most of our movements are inspired by animals or by tools in farming. We divide the dance in like standing steps and low steps, and then you have the power moves. Some of them are similar to breakdancing. For example, they did headspin here 100 years ago during the 1800s. So it's kind of quite similar to breakdancing in a way. People are standing in a circle often around the dancing, and the dancing is done in circles. Sometimes I call it like the flamenco of Norway because you can burst out your anger or happiness and joy and so on. I think it has been an important kind of temperament ventilation for our people for a long time because we have a lot of stories from the 1600s and up with murders through dance and a lot of darkness in a way. But for the past 100 years, we have had this kind of process of building the Norwegian nation. And we started with like competitions in dance, and it became more like a stage art. And lost a lot of the darkness in itself.
I have teach people to dance here for 25 years now, and I like it. 4 of my students here are now working with folk dance and folk music full time. So this has also been kind of education. I think it's very important to young people to dance. I think it's the best way of being together and be sure of their own person, feel safe amongst other people. Dancing is the best. Both the dancers give impulses to the music, and the musician gave impulses to the dancer. Things happen just in the moment. It makes it much better for the dancer, more exciting.
The variety of the expressions of the music and the dance that goes with it, it hasn't been, fulfilled. We haven't seen it all. I think the music is a mirror of how the community was. This were their time off after all the light of the day is gone, and there's nothing to do than play some music and have some fun. You can hear from the different valleys the heart of the people, how they were in their music.
Lord, make me a river. Lord, bring the pilgrim to me. Lord, let me ask him to remove his shoes, and would he take off his hat on the bank near the boathouse at my mouth. Lord, let her wear a handmade dress or no dress at all. Lord, would I say man? Lord, would I say woman? Put your feet in my water. Lord, rub his calloused soles with my soft, slick hands. Lord, let her hair rise as she swims in me, wild yet hidden, strands spreading like leaf shadows most summers on forest paths, fluttering, dark, deep. Let my pockets of cold hold his body's hot spots. Oh Lord, you know the places where hurt brings heat. Let her be soothed in me. Oh Lord, make me your first sign. Let me be the last wine. Let the pilgrims taste and burst. Let me under their skin.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org. Playing today's new music plus your favorite hits, 96.7 Cram. Online at 967cram.com.